Hi, I'm Patrick O'Rourke, Director of Product Management at Avalon Hill and Hasbro. I'm out here on the beautiful beaches of Sanibel, and I am joined by esteemed game designer and all-around great person, Elizabeth Hargrave. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hey, Patrick.
Thank you so much for joining me out here.
I mean, what's better than being out on the beach?
Not much, that's for sure. Well, we're working on a game together.
Yes.
A game called Sanibel.
Yes.
So I'm really curious, why did you choose to set the game right here?
I grew up in North Florida.
Yeah.
But Sanibel, I think out of all the beaches in Florida, is really known for its seashells.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, they're kind of under the tide's going out right now, so they're a little bit covered, but there's like just huge swaths of just solid shells on the beach. And you'll see, I was at a sunrise this morning, and people were out with flashlights, like wanting to be the first ones to find all the stuff that had washed up overnight. It's a whole little culture of shelling here.
If I had never heard of Sanibel before, how would you describe it to a new player?
It's a game where the board is a beach, and you have a little person that is walking down the beach. And as you land, there are different spaces on the board. As you land on a space, you can pick up tiles that have shells on them from that space on the beach. And you're putting them into your own personal little player mat, which is a bag that you're collecting shells in. So they slide down into your bag. They got to go to the bottom of the bag. And then the scoring is all about the different types of shells you have and where they are in your bag. Each type of shell has a different scoring rule. So you want lots of shark's teeth, and you want groups of snail shells and things like that.
So what was the inspiration for this game?
I was actually at the beach with my family, and my dad said, you should make a game about collecting shells on the beach. I grew up going to the beach a lot with my family. I grew up in Gainesville, Florida, which is not on the beach, but we'd head out fairly frequently. He's actually a huge shark tooth collector, so I had to also put the shark teeth in along with the seashells.
Sanibel is a beautiful place, but it has been through a lot over the past couple of years with Hurricane Ian and a few others. So since you were young coming here to now, have you noticed any big changes?
Yeah, I mean, you can still see some of the places that were hurt in the hurricanes have not been rebuilt yet, which I was talking to someone yesterday on the way over to the island who was saying, like, they just haven't had the labor. Like, the whole island gets hit. That's a lot of work to do to get it all rebuilt. So slowly but surely, it's coming back for sure.
Great.
But yeah.
One thing I absolutely love about your games, Elizabeth, is that you find this great way of merging new themes into the tabletop experience. You have this really special way of taking nature themes and putting them into experiences that we can all enjoy and play. So I was wondering, is that where you start when you're developing a new game, or does that just happen naturally?
Yeah, I always say to start working on a game, it usually starts from, like, what do I want it to be? Like, there should be a game about this cool thing in the world.
Yeah.
But to really start working on it, I do also need that idea of, like, oh, and it would look like this. Oh, you should be, if I want a game about shells, you should be walking down the beach.
I think that's one of the really special things about this game too, is it does feel like walking down a beach. You can rush and go as fast as possible and try to get everything first, but you might miss some of the details. Or you can take your time and look very carefully at what you're trying to get.
I hope that what people get out of Sanibel is that I think it really does feel like collecting and exploring. There's new stuff washing up onto the beach in the game, right? So that to me, it really does feel like discovery and collecting, and with a little overlay of puzzling on top of it.
Well, that's where that wave mechanic comes in really nicely as well, because when the wave moves, all the shells then come onto the beach. So you almost want to turn around and race back to get something you may have missed. Yeah, I think it captures that energy very well.
Yeah, it's something that has just enough constraints with that, but like not so many rules.
Yeah.
It felt like a good balance. I hope people will agree that it's an interesting puzzle without too much overhead to figure out how to do it. Yeah.
Well, with all that, how about we get the design team in here and we go take a look at the game?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Elizabeth and I are now joined by our creative team to take a closer look at Sanibel. Joining me is Doug, Tess, and Sammy. Hey guys.
Hey.
Well, take me to day one. So the prototype comes in, we open the box, we play it, we have a conversation with Elizabeth. What was running through your minds?
I loved the vibe. I think Verbatim maybe said that when we first sat down and played it at the games tables with the prototype. It was just, I immediately feel peaceful, which is your intention, right? It's immediately an atmospheric game.
Yeah.
And I think I may have won.
Oh.
I do not.
It affects your first experience. I'm like 90% sure I won.
For me, it's always a little nerve-wracking handing over my baby. But I was definitely at ease pretty quickly because it was very clear that you saw the vision of what I was going for and definitely felt like I was in good hands.
Now, I know that this is a prototype, but how did the art direction inform the overall tone of this game?
Yeah, so Elizabeth turned in a very beautiful prototype that had clear tone and direction of this game, and I wanted to make sure that we respected that with the illustrations. So I hired an artist, Doll Taylor, who had a wonderful watercolor portfolio, and he had a lot of maritime and beach scenes. So I wanted to make sure that the artist who was doing all of the key art for this had a very good understanding of the environment. We didn't want to have like a desert landscape artist, painting the beach, and I felt watercolor, with it being beach theme, and just really set the tone and put you in Sanibel, and that was the most important part.
I remember Sammy when you showed me the mood board. I'm like, oh yes, that's it.
So I imagine a lot of research had to go into making this thing feel authentic and real. How did that process work?
I did a little bit of poking around in iNaturalist, which I use for many things in my just personal hobby life and for game design, figuring out it's a community science database where people send in pictures and they're geotagged, and you can assign species to living things of all types. So it's got plants and birds and all other animals, and you can report shells in iNaturalist. And so I was actually looking what are the shells that people find most often on Sanibel to make sure I was hitting all of those.
Now, while this game thematically and in play is collecting seashells, there's definitely a competitive angle to it. I myself am a very competitive player. Doug, I know you are as well. How does that come to life? What's it like if you're really trying to win this thing?
I mean, you do have to pay close attention to your field guide, what is going to tell you how to score points. Getting good at that is going to make you a better player at this game. And while it is very peaceful and meditative, we often talk about the fun of competing over those shark teeth, or not seeing the sand crab buried under the other tiles. Sometimes one time, but also I like to bring it up quite often because there is a little bit, you do have to be curious about these sections of the beach, and you do have to pay attention to the board and what other people are doing. And if you do that, you're better positioned to come out on top. So it's a game, and it's a lot of fun, and competitive players are gonna find strategies that are gonna work for them.
We don't talk that much about the push and pull of how you're actually moving down the board, but there are different spots where you get to take different numbers of shells, and you don't actually go around the table taking turns. It's whoever is the farthest back on the beach goes next. And so there's a strong push and pull of I can go forward farther and make sure that I get a whole bunch of shells and exactly the ones I want, but then everyone else is going to get more turns catching up to me until it's my turn again. And so how much do I care about getting the specific exact shells that I want versus getting a few more by going slowly? There's a lot of strategy in that as well.
Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. I am so excited for people to get their hands on this game.
Yeah, me too. It was remarkable. We learned a lot. We got to play the game together.
Yeah.
Really great trip.
Found some shells on the beach.